There's a storm coming in. Nick here from Nick with Love. I am so excited to be sharing with you a process. I'm coming to you very real life. Just washed my hair, letting it air dry and just kind of fresh faced, just washed my face, and just a very slow Saturday morning for me. And I thought, let's do this. Let's sit down and be vulnerable and be transparent and be real and just show you that, you know, just come to you as I am in this very semi wet hair situation and a highlighter and what we're going to be talking about today, and I'm going to be sharing with you today. It's called the Measure of Love Circle. So welcome to my new series, Get Your Life Together. Let's get into today's video. There's a storm coming in right now. You know, there's so much going on in the world, and I think there's always going to be things going on in the world. And what I have come to realize is the need to meet your current capacity to engage with your own life. So essentially, it's I'm trying to say the thing without saying the thing. I'm not going to talk about anything other than how can I support you in feeling a greater sense of peace within your own life and your own world. The only thing that we can change is how we respond to things that are going on. And the biggest thing that we can change is how we choose to be with ourselves. With that choosing of how to be with ourselves, I think it's important to be honest about how we feel about the things that are indeed going on in the world, and getting clear on the emotions and the impact that it has and is influencing those areas of our life that, you know, we're going to go over in terms of, you know, what we're measuring. So measuring helps to get an instant picture, to see the patterns, to see where you are. And from there, what are the management needs? What are the support needs? What are tools that you can tap into or explore curiously in a way that may help in expanding your capacity in that life area? Capacity, I think, is the core of my teachings this year, because I think capacity is something that people don't quite understand the importance of, and that they're operating from a state of capacity at any given time. So with that, your capacity, essentially, when I speak of capacity, it's meeting people where they are. I find that is crucial. I feel that honors the person that is sitting in front of me, to meet them where they are, so they don't feel like there's something wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you that cannot be managed. And even if you're like, oh, but there are these things that that feel wrong, you can choose to manage it differently. Maybe it's about seeing the patterns, recognizing the patterns of how those things are showing up, why those things are showing up. But it always starts with your capacity. And it always starts with being honest about that it's there, seeing that it's there, and then exploring how it's there and finding ways to manage that it's there. Everything is manageable, everything is figure outable is kind of my take on things. Before we get started, I know for some people they're like, who the hell am I? For those of you that don't know, I am actually integrative nutrition health coach trained at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, also known as IIN. I am a esthetician as well, ITEC certified, so international certification. And my approach to skincare is very holistic, and which led me into wanting to learn about nutrition and understanding the integrativeness of that. I am also a certified crystal practitioner. So I help people to read their energy, fill into their energy, and I really work with their chakras and balancing those energy centers, and also helping support processing through emotions and working on nervous system regulation. So those are the things that I focus on. So I really help people to read their energy and to find a way that makes sense for them through self-identification, through the support that I have from, that's always centered from a place of love, to recognize the patterns so we can start to identify tangible ways that they can use and utilize to start managing better in their life. So that's a little bit about me for those that may care. But let's get into this a little bit more. Why are we doing this? And why I think this is something that needs to be done at this time. I've been sitting here the past couple of months actually really asking myself, how can I engage in a way that can help people on my Nick with Love YouTube channel? And what I want to do is something I'm doing with myself, is using the tools that I have and I use with my clients all the time in a way, like showing how to use those in your life by showing how I use them in my life. And I have this, I'm going to start this series called Get Your Life Together. And it is centered on how can we, us collectively, get our life together. One of the things that's really helpful, I have this process with a signature process that I came up with called the SPEAK process, SPEAK. And that process, it starts with the letter S. That is really all about awareness, essentially. And awareness starts by measure. You know, I always think you can't manage, it's in order to manage things, you need to measure them. And one of the tools that I was introduced to when I was going through my integrative nutrition program with the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, health coaching program essentially, was what they called the circle of life. And so the circle of life has 12 areas. I'll put a picture up of what that looks like for the Institute for Integrative Nutrition right here. So we have the circle of life, and it has 12 life areas, and they actually have this really cool function where you can go to the website and you can rate it, and it'll actually show you, connect the dots, what that looks like after you rank it and rate it. The thing that I love about this tool is it gives you an instant read on measuring your level of fulfillment in your life. How I look at the circle of life is it measures your level of love. How much are you loving that area in your life? Joshua Rosenthal, the founder of IIN, I always remember one of his lectures where he said that, you know, it's what we're measuring for is the vitamin L. Like, what is their vitamin L deficiency that they have? And the L stands for love. And so I was like, okay, makes sense, because my practice is, you know, Nick with Love. It really is, for me, the purpose that of love, and when we do everything from that's centered from love, we will always be in alignment with ourselves. It helps by doing filling out the circle of life, seeing where your vitamin L deficiencies may exist in the different life areas. You measure, and then you have an understanding of, oh, these areas are deficient. I have a mint in my lap. I have mints in my mouth. So I've been a integrative nutrition health coach for, I don't even know. I don't know. Is it 8 years? Don't get me to lying. It's been a long time, for quite some time. And over that time, I have really curated the circle of life and made it my own in a way that makes sense for the people that I work with, and the way, and my process and my approach to supporting people in getting a level of measurement and management, their management needs, seeing the energy that exists there. So it's like an energetic read. And so what I came up with is this, and I'll put it on the screen what it looks like, and I call it the measure of love circle. And so this measure of love circle here, it reflects the areas of life where love wants to be experienced, not perfected, because perfection doesn't exist. And so each of these sections here show how much love and care and presence that you feel in this area of your life right now. I'm just simply reading the copy on the page right here. And so I'm going to go over the different life areas that I have kind of reframed. And so let's go through them. So there's 12 areas of life that we are going to be looking at to measure the love, the level of fulfillment that you have in that. So the first one is body and vitality. Then we have emotional well-being. We have mental clarity. We have a spiritual connection. We have self-relationship, love and intimacy, family and ancestral ties, friendship and community, creative expression. Then we have purpose and contribution, money and material support. And then we have the 12th area, environment and a lifestyle. So these different areas are on the circle here. And I'm going to take you through how you can use this. And I love this. I remember I went to a health fair once, and I had these little tiny cards that had the circle of life on them. I was passing them out, and I was like, hey, just read it really, really quick. And then they just put like little dots and just kind of filled it out, kind of like this right here does for you if you do it online. And it gives you this instant picture of your level of fulfillment with your life. Instant. You don't have to do anything other than just sit and be honest with yourself. This is another key too. You really want to be honest about your level of fulfillment. How fulfilled are you in your life? And be honest about that. So the point of this series, my goal is to really every month sit and provide you a space to fill out and to measure your love circle, to use the measure of love circle. And I'm going to take you through, and I'm going to share you what mine looks like, how I fill it out that month, and then identify the area of focus. And my intention is to potentially show you how I went about approaching managing that area of my life. So I'll pick one that I will actively share and show you what that looks like, how I did it for myself, because I'm not a perfect person at all, and I just try to be in practice and using the tools that I share with my clients, because I understand the impact and the power that it has. So we're going to sit here and fill it out, and I'm going to show you how you can fill it out. One thing that you can do with this is you could actually have like 12 different marker colors, 12 different highlighter colors. I'm actually going to use a highlighter. and have that representative of that particular life area. You could literally just put a dot and then connect the dots as well. So the one that I have here now, I'm thinking, do I want to do one? Maybe that'll be something that I add to it. But there is a link down below to download this, so you can download it and fill it out and get your own so you can follow along with this process. But for today's purposes, I'm going to be using a highlighter. All right, let's bring you down so you can see what I'm doing. So here I have the paper here of the handout for the measure of love circle. I'm going to show you there's two ways that you could actually fill this out. One way is you can use like a pen and you want to rank. So we have 1 through 10, 1 being the lowest level fulfillment, 10 being fulfilled, the highest level fulfillment here. And so you just ask yourself your level of fulfillment. Be honest with yourself that level of fulfillment. Honesty is important. You do yourself a disservice by not being honest. And honestly, who's going to see this unless you choose to show this to other people? I'm choosing to share it with people because I'm perfectly okay with that. But I will make adjustments in terms of all the things and the ways that I may show you how I measure that as well. You don't have to share what you don't want to share. So be honest with yourself. Start with being honest. Start practicing honest ranking of fulfillment in your life here. Okay, this is all about measuring the love that you have of your life. So you go through each area and ask yourself, what's my level of fulfillment? You can mark it like with a pen here and just kind of go through, and then you can connect the dots here like so. Another way that I find I like to do is I like to just use a highlighter here, and I highlight the ranking level here, and from that you get a picture of what that looks like. So I'm going to sit here and fill this out. So here I have the areas highlighted, and what you could do is simply like this, if you don't want to fill it in. Do like this just to kind of get a shape, because it's helpful to kind of see the shape of it as well. So you get like this shape of fulfillment. And instantly you'll see that there's such levels where you're like, oh wow, it's so much lower here. And from that, that's how you determine the areas that are the lowest level of fulfillment. What I like to do is to identify the lowest area and kind of mark that area, and also 2 other lower areas. So I have a lot of areas here that are at a 5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5. So I'm going to pick this one. This one I know why it's low. This one I know why it's low too. It's just the season that I'm in right here. And then I'm going to pick this one. So the 3 areas that I have determined that I really want to work on focusing, and I turn it so you can see, is going to be money and material support, creative expression, friendship, and community. So those are the 3 areas that I am going to be focusing on this month of January. So going to write down those: money and material support, creative expression, and then we have friendship, if I can spell, friendship, and community. So you write down the top 3. Then you want to ask, what is your capacity? Do I have the capacity to focus on these three areas specifically? And then you can also ask yourself, be really honest, is there one thing that I can do that'll bring a greater sense of fulfillment in these 3 areas? So I have money and material and support, creative expression, friendship, and community. I know there's one thing that I can do that I can't share on here at this time, but I know that there's one thing that I can do that feeds into these 3 areas. So there is a business venture, I'll say that, a business venture that will help in my area, like feeding into my love of money and material support. It'll help me in creating this opportunity to make money, to obtain material support. It is really centered in building community at the same time. So sometimes, a lot of the times, honestly, if you identify the 3 areas of lowest level fulfillment that needs some loving care and attention, some management essentially, and ask yourself, what's one thing that I can do that can actually feed into these 3 things? Sometimes you'll come up with an answer. Sometimes that's not always the case. And then it goes back to that original question that I asked, what is your capacity to focus on all 3 of those areas? If you're like, you know what, I just want to focus on creative expression, then lean into creative expression. What is your capacity for creative expression? Is it maybe creating, and this is how I kind of like we'll say workshop. This is how I help support clients and working through, seeing the bigger picture of things, right? So if you identify you have creative expression, right? Okay, creative expression, you want to lean into that. I'm always looking for opportunities to feed into the circle because I understand the interconnectedness of these areas of life. So creative expression, how can you be creatively expressed and maybe connecting with your friends? Maybe it's doing a creative activity and inviting friends, or doing a creative activity that gets you out into the community. Maybe it's a creative way of managing your money. So that's one way. Also, how can we, say you identify, I want to focus on friendship and community, right? Maybe by being in friendship or being in community, it will, because you'll be out in the world, you may connect with someone or people, or you'll come up with a creative idea that can feed into money and material support. So you see how it's all interconnected, and it's not as complicated of a action or focus as a lot of times we make it out to be. I'm all about meeting people where they are and helping to get really clear on real tangible ways to manage your life. And it's being honest about what makes sense for where you are in terms of your capacity. So that's how we work with the measure of love circle here. I've identified these 3 areas, and I will show you what my intention is. So with that, I'm going to leave it, and I really encourage you to go get this and download this for yourself. There'll be a free principle for you to download, free, so you can be a part of this process. I really want you to be a part of this process, and my goal is to do this monthly. I really hoped in doing this, showing you how you can engage with this really helpful tool. It gives you that instant picture of your level of fulfillment. So here you can see it upright. You see how there's this dip here and then it dips up. This is normal. It's very rare that all areas of your life are completely fulfilled. And I think we need to normalize that this is how life can look, and it's all okay. But getting honest about your level of fulfillment in those areas can help you identify how you can start to bring a sense of management. So there's a few things that I want us to kind of work on, and I will share my process in doing that. I really want to focus on money and material support, creative expression, what that looks like, and friendship and community. So those are my 3 areas that I'm going to be focusing on this month, and I will show you how I determine what I want to do. One thing I already can share with you that I have already started doing is I found this amazing YouTuber. I can't remember her name right now because I just found her like recently over the last couple days, and she has this program, this 14-day program. But I loved her approach to money and manifestation. It's from a place of nervous system regulation. It's like you have to feel safe. And it goes back to that word, the word capacity. You have to feel like you have the capacity to feel safe, to receive money in that way. And so she approaches it from a nervous system regulation way. And I'm like, that clicks. That clicks. That makes so much sense why so many people have struggles with manifestation or their capacity to give and to receive when it comes from a money and material support, financial area on the circle of life here. So that's one thing that I am going to be doing. And then, as I shared a little bit earlier, there's a specific project that I'm working on with someone, and that is going to be something to help in the material support, the money and material support, as well as it's going to allow me to be creative in creating that program and building that community. And also I'll be working with a dear friend of mine in doing this. So I always find ways to look at the areas that need some focus, care, and attention, and ask myself, how can I manage it with my current capacity in a way that I can pick one tangible action for the month and focus on that, and it can feed into the other areas of the circle of love, the love circle, the 12 areas of life. And a lot of times what will happen is when you focus on some of these other areas very, very, I don't want to say laser focus, but intentionally, you'll start to see how it feeds in to the other areas on this circle here. So I'm gonna leave it there. And I hope you will join me, and I'm excited to see how I approach this and how fulfilling it is at the end of the month. And I hope that you will follow along. I hope you will join. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I really hope that you will be sure to share this with friends, family, whoever, because this is such an amazing tool that gives you an instant picture of your level of fulfillment in your life. and where you can start to focus, or where you should, let's say, focus your attention, and leaning into identifying what is something that makes sense at the current cycle of your life. So share this with those people that you care about, and I hope that I will see you in the next video, and let's get our life together this year. Now's the time to, every now moment is always the time to get your life together, because you are the one responsible for your life. No one's coming to save you, because you don't need saving. You don't need saving. And when you realize that, you'll also recognize that you have support around you, and I am glad to be in support of you. So thanks for watching. Thanks for allowing me to show up as my most authentic version. My hair has kind of dried a little bit more. It's kind of shrunk. Anyone with curly hair knows that reality, but I'm just rambling at this point. So bye. Thanks for watching.